If, like me, you had pretty much despaired of your Christmas order of flowers arriving in time, don't panic when they do arrive a day late. Set to and all will be well. Come on, let's make the last arrangements for Christmas before we take a break. Don't panic, they're here. Right, before I do anything, I'm going to fill up buckets of water because I'm going to turn the water because the box will have a level of moisture in it which has helped keep the flowers alive, even though they've been in transit for 2 days. So before I open the box, I'm going to have the buckets ready so that as I open the box, I can snip the ends off the flowers and get them into the buckets as quickly as possible so they can start to rehydrate. I don't want to open the box, let all that moisture out, and they really flop. They will be surprisingly in good nick. They're all up from my colleagues at BJ Richards in Cornwall. Right, quickly get the buckets ready and then I'll show you. Right, let's open the box and see. I have 3 buckets ready, which should be enough for this box. This stuff gets cut up and put in the bin. I don't want it strangling anybody in the Pacific, so I cut it up into quite small pieces. Lovely, useful box. Nothing goes to waste here. Whatever you do, don't lose the bill. Pay that in a minute. Thank you very much for the Christmas card, Paul. And, a useful calendar for next year. It's all coming together. And here are my flowers. So, they always come with a bar across them to stop them moving around like this. And look at that, compostable wrapping. And I'm going to actually get the camera and show you because they're in really good nick, but I need to get them in water quickly before they realise that their nice moist atmosphere has gone. Look at that, 48 hours in a box, in transit. I have seen a great deal worse. Right, all of them are going to have their stems snipped and they will be completely, all of the wrapping will be removed and they will be popped in water, and I'll show you, look, there's one bruise, but actually, otherwise they're in really, really good nick. Right, they really look all fine. The only ones that I think have struggled really out of that journey were these Canterbury bells, but it's only the odd flower head which I'll just pick off, and I'll still use most of them. So I'm going to let them have a lovely drink and go and have some lunch, and then we'll make some floristry. Pretty light, don't you think? So I've got some really nice foliage to use, but I've also got various leftover pieces of dried material, and I'm going to use these in my floristry in the spirit of waste not want not, because I have a thing. If I have any leftovers after Christmas, they all go on the bonfire. So I'm using up as much as I can. Let's go. Right, as is always the case, I'm starting greening up the big arrangements. And there we have 3 large vases. And I'm about to add some British grown Alstroemeria. And then we're going to have some of these lovely bellflowers, and I'm just checking them over. And if ever there's one that's got something that needs pinching out, like a couple of stems, a couple of flowers here that I can pinch out, I'm doing. But otherwise, they've survived the journey, given that they're really the most delicate. They've survived the journey and 2 days in a box without too much difficulty. And then in we go with some lovely little white snapdragons. Aren't they fresh and gorgeous? 2 days in a box with no water. I've seen much worse. And those gorgeous daisies from Cornwall are still going strong. You hear my daughter and her friend making a big noise next door. A little touch of spring in these Christmas arrangements. So they're all fine. They're very nice and pretty. But I think we could make them more Christmassy. And look at this, the golden stems of the dried motherwort. And these are naturally golden. I have not done any funny business to make them this colour. This is natural gold, and I think they're lovely. I'm very inspired with using my dried material by Tom Broom Hughes at Petersham Nurseries, who used quite a lot of our dried ingredients in Savannah Miller's wedding, which was covered by British Vogue. So look out for that, because I think that'll be lovely to look at. And some of the dried material we have here was also duplicated in that lovely wedding. I see, look, it's good, isn't it? And of course, you don't have to, if the stems of dried material are not especially long, they don't have to go all the way into the arrangement. You can just sort of balance them in so that you get the height. They don't have to go right down in there. And the dried limonium is really pretty. It's sort of crunchy and almost a little bit snowflakey in the mix. And then, oh, it won't focus. I can't get my hand far enough away. These are wild carrot seed heads. And I'm just tucking these in. Again, structure, shape, and a lovely golden colour, that's better, in amongst the mix. And there's sort of a late summer, wintry, crispy, whole year in a bouquet going on here. And outside, on the evening of the solstice, the light fades. And inside, attractive telephone ruining the look, the flowers glow. So now you see why these dried pieces are so great, aren't they? Right, that's the big arrangements done, and I love them with their dried material. I'm now going to make 8 posies to match quickly, because it's 4:15 and Granny's coming in this evening and we're having the beginning of Christmas. So here is one of the little posies, and it's 22 stems, ranunculus, paper white narcissi, snapdragon, nice little foliage, but a bit of dried carrot, some statice there, and a motherwort and poppy head. It's all the year in a posy. And you know this client of old, she loves her bronze ribbons, and look how good the bronze ribbons are with this dried material in the posies. Right, they're all done. 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the solstice, the end of the pro floristry for 2022 for me. And now it's time to pack them all up and deliver them for my client. Now, if you're having flowers for your house over the Christmas or holiday period, and you want them to last a good long time, it's the 21st today, and so they've definitely got to go through Christmas and possibly on for a few days after that. If you're having people in and out and you want them to look really, really fresh for longer, then my number one tip is to refresh the water. Make sure they don't get thirsty. Give them clean water, and possibly even take your jars, fling them through the dishwasher, or have a second set so that you can give your flowers clean water. And when you take them out of the old water, before popping them in the new water, snip their stems off just a couple of centimetres, so that you're refreshing those cellulose drinking cells so that they can keep themselves fresh. The water can get up to their heads easily through the season. If, like me, you live in a really cold house and only warm it up if you've got people coming in, notoriously mean I am, then you might want to take your flowers out in between social occasions, put them somewhere cooler, like my studio, for example, which is a balmy 9 degrees. I'm not even wearing a sweater at the moment, where they will sit very happily between events, So if you want to keep them going for longer, you could always take them out of the warm, put them somewhere cooler, and then bring them in again for the next event, if that's what you'd like to do. Keep them cool. And they should last really nicely through the Christmas period. I have to say, I am delighted with the dried material. I think for a bit of gold, without using spray or anything synthetic, to have a bit of dried material is really successful. And I'm going to definitely remember this and use it again as a top, a way of Christmasing up without using gold spray or tinsel plastic or anything like that. Anyway, thanks very much for coming along. If you've enjoyed this clip, please do subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee. The link to coffee buying is in the blurb to all my clips. And I wish you all a very happy solstice. Return of the light. Cross fingers.